topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good morning, Atlanta. Welcome to another Ask the Experts show. And we got a great show for you this morning. And I must tell you, I have owned the Ask the Experts company this is our 11th year. And we are now in 10 cities. We've got about 80 experts. But this show coming up is so dear to my heart that we had to have the perfect expert for this. Today, we're going to be talking about snoring. Actually, stop snoring. And I'm about to lose my voice, so I am really going to let our next guest, who has been with us now for probably about 5 or 6 months now. She is a pro at it. And I'm just going to turn the whole show over to her today. But we're going to talk about techniques, which I am actually doing myself. That's why this show is so important, to stop snoring. So a technique that really does work. So let me introduce you. And if you've been watching the show for a while, you have seen her, Janet Bennett.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Smiley.
So I get to talk today, huh?
The whole show.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, I'm so glad to be here. I've never been to Atlanta through Ask the Experts, so this is great. This is great. Okay, so I'm Janet Bennett. I'm a speech pathologist, have a master's degree in it, and I've had a private practice for over 30 years. And I have been specializing in helping people to stop snoring and helping people to get rid of their tongue thrust. Now, some of you may not know what a tongue thrust is, and so I will tell you about that. But first, I want to explain. I was treating this 14-year-old football player years ago, 2003, and he was getting treatment from me for a tongue thrust. Now, what that means is when he swallowed, his tongue came pushed behind the back of his front teeth instead of from the roof of his mouth. So he was swallowing incorrectly. And sometimes people will stick their tongue out when they swallow, and they end up with an open bite where their teeth don't meet. But anyway, the tongue thrust is where the tongue is just, oftentimes it's too big for the mouth. You've seen people who have a really big tongue, and it just doesn't have enough room in the mouth. And so when it relaxes and gets, fat and happy and spread out, it's going to be pushing out. So I was treating this guy for a tongue thrust. And some people, because of a tongue thrust, have a lisp, so that sun sounds like thun. You've heard those people too. And so they can certainly be helped also. So anyway, I have this program that's 7 weeks long, and it's all about tongue exercises. Makes sense, right? The tongue is the one that's too big. It's made up of a whole lot of different muscles. And so it just makes sense. If you want to change that, you have to work the muscles and exercise them and make the tongue stronger and more toned and get in the habit of living in a different place in your mouth. Okay, with that said, Adam was this guy's name. I have 7 lessons, like I said, and Adam had come to see me twice before, so he had 2 weeks of exercises under his belt. And he came back for the 3rd lesson, and his mom stuck her head in the door and she said, "What are you doing to Adam?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, he's always been the loudest snorer in the world. He rattles the windows in our house." And she said, "Now he's not making a sound." And I didn't know anything about snoring. And so I said, "Adam, tell me more. What's going on?" And he said, "Well, it's true." He said, "I'm sleeping so much better. My grades are better. I can concentrate easier in school, and I run faster." So that got my attention. The snoring part didn't get my attention so much because I didn't know anything about it, but the run faster got my attention. So I got on the computer and researched snoring, and I just knew I was going to find out that people, whoever, were treating snoring with tongue exercises. I mean, they're so easy, and I just saw that this kid stopped snoring after 2 weeks of exercises. So unfortunately, that is not what I found online. I found that they wanted to cut off part of the uvula, that thing that hangs down in the back. Of course, that didn't work. And they might want to break your jaw and pull it forward so that your airway is bigger. Because see, what happens whenever you snore, let's say you lay down and go to sleep, your tongue gets real relaxed, as it should. But during the night, at some point, your tongue is going to start creeping back. And I'm sure gravity has something to do with that. It'll creep back and partially block your airway. And that's when you can get those noises. Okay. But at some point, some people they keep snoring. They get louder and their mouth opens wider, and, it just becomes a really big thing. And in doing that, it allows the entire tongue, well, the tongue to totally block the airway. And that's when the person stops breathing. And that's when, if they have a significant other in bed, then that person is probably listening to them not breathing and waiting for them to start breathing. And the brain wakes them up by making you snort like a and get out of it. That's sleep apnea. Now, so we don't want it to go to sleep apnea. Okay, we don't want the snoring, but we want to stop the snoring so that it does not result in sleep apnea. Because with sleep apnea, you probably are going to be put on a CPAP machine, which a lot of people, most people, do not enjoy being on. So back to the snoring. I was looking on the internet, as I said. They have dentists who make appliances that you can wear. And I was telling Pennsylvania yesterday about one of the appliances that I know of. This dentist made this appliance, and it's huge, and it covers. You of course put it in your mouth, but here at the end there's a big hole in it, and you literally stick your tongue through that hole, and you sleep like that. Can you picture that? So you're laying down sleeping and your mouth's open and your tongue sticking out. Now, the reasoning behind it is pull the tongue forward so it can't fall down and block your airway. So on that level, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense any other way. So anyway, so the idea is very simple. First of all, people don't want to admit that they snore, and
That's me.
it's a social stigma. It's embarrassing. And when I grew up, I was at my granny's house a lot, and grandpa was over in the corner in his recliner, sleeping and snoring. He snored really loud, and it was right in the middle of the house. So everybody heard him. But you know what everybody said about him? They said, "Look at granddaddy, he's sleeping so good." And actually, he was not sleeping at all, because when you snore, you cannot get into REM sleep.
Is
You
that
don't
right?
get good sleep. And so every time that a snorer wakes up, they probably, well, just, yeah, they have a dry mouth, right? All that air coming in. Their lips are chapped. They probably use a lot of chapstick. They may wake up with a sore throat that goes away pretty quickly. They may wake up with a headache. Might take about 30 minutes for that to go away. They probably wake up thinking, I wish I could just sleep for 5 more minutes. They don't know what's going on. They don't realize that they don't realize they're sleeping, breathing through their mouth. Some do. But people don't understand all of the various things, medical problems that can occur when you mouth breathe. When you breathe through your mouth, you get dirty, cold air in your mouth, and it doesn't do a thing for your body. When you breathe through your nose, the air goes past those hairs in your nose, and it's filtered, clean, and it's warm air. We have this gas that we make in our body. It's called nitric oxide, not nitrous, nitric oxide. And it's made, well, we have nitric oxide because it touches, if you will, just about every organ in our body. It takes care of it. It rejuvenates it. It makes sure the oxygen is the right amount in the blood. And I'm not a doctor, but it does a whole lot of things for your body that you need. And when you have the nitric oxide and you're breathing through your nose, you can get into REM sleep. Now, here's the problem with nitric oxide and mouth breathing. I think more than half the world breathes through their mouth, so you are not alone. Nitric oxide is made here in your nasal sinus area. When you breathe through your mouth, you cannot access that nitric oxide. The air must go through your nose to gain access to that nitric oxide and to be able to take advantage of it and use it in your body. So mouth breathers are not getting what they need at all for all the other organs. And so that's why some of these weird things that happen because of mouth breathing, like that respond to mouth breathing, restless leg syndrome is now considered a symptom of sleep deprivation. Okay. A lot of things cause sleep deprivation, even GERD. Sometimes people with GERD have reported that, when they start breathing through their nose, everything changes, and they may not need to use that whole bottle of Tums every day. So there are lots of things, really. So there are lots of things that can change for the good. Now, I will share this. Because I've been doing this for years. I've worked with hundreds of people who snore. And of course, the reason is always mouth breathing, always. There's not anything else that's going to do that. Okay. And because when they snore, their tongue falls back, and blocks the airway partially. And the interesting thing to me is, most of us have a doctor that we go to. The doctors never seem to ask whether you breathe through your mouth or breathe through your nose. Now, with what I've just said about mouth breathing, I think that, if a person goes to them with all kinds of ailments, they're totally sleep deprived, they have daytime sleepiness, they wake up with all these aches and pains, and they can't concentrate. I think about 15 years ago, 86% of the ADHD kids that were diagnosed with ADHD turned out to just be sleep deprived. 86%. That's huge.
That is
Um,
huge.
and it all comes from breathing through the mouth. So why don't doctors ask about that? I don't understand it at all. Of course, if they were to get a new patient and find out immediately, oh, they have all these problems and they mouth breathe. Oh, send them to Janet Bennett. That would be
If
great.
they don't want to handle it themselves.
That would be great. But, you know, what about the doctor's future and all those specialists that are hanging in the wings wanting to treat all these different problems? So there are lots of reasons that these things don't get identified in people. And so I, after treating that 14-year-old football player and discovering what I did, I wanted to save the world.
Or at least save the world to stop snoring.
I know, because and I felt the burden to do that because this is so easy. I mean, if you can stop this huge problem with just tongue exercises, I've got to tell people about it. I can't sit on that information. Well, you know, I quickly realized I can't save the whole world, not by myself at least. I didn't want to train the trainer. I can't treat each one at a time. I'm doing that now, but I need there needs to be more to offer the public. And so I decided the ideal thing to do would be to make my program, produce a program, an exercise program for them to do online. So they didn't need a person, okay? So they would just have exercises to do. I have a 7-week program. Each week they learn new exercises, and they're easy exercises. You start with the muscles in the tip of the tongue and go to the back. The goals with this program are to train your tongue to live on the roof of your mouth. And it's literally suctioned up. You know how you do a tongue pop? We haven't talked about tongue pops. You do that, I call it the clippity clop, the tongue pop, and you stop it halfway before it pops down and close your lips and teeth, and your tongue is up there. That's where your tongue should live instead of like that. I know you've seen some people who literally have their tongue hanging out, or at least right there at the lips. The other goal is to start breathing through your nose habitually instead of your mouth. So those are 2 easy goals to do, to learn. And the exercises will teach you. So back to my program, I found I needed people, or I wanted people to read the way I word exercises because, you know, this was big to me. I wanted this to get out to the whole world, so they needed to understand what I was saying. And so I found 86 people all over the United States, and they agreed to be my guinea pigs. And this was back in 2003. So we did not have Zoom, unfortunately, but we did have a telephone and we had email. So each week, so it's 7 weeks in a row. If you have to miss a week, it's very forgiving. So that's not an issue. You just keep doing the same exercises. And so I met all these 86 people. We had a schedule that was it was phenomenal, the schedule. I had a calendar on my dining room table that filled the entire table. And I was putting everybody in. Anyway, it was so much fun. It took me 8 months to get through all these 86 people. Each week, I would email them the new lesson with the new exercises. And then that night, we had an appointment, maybe 7:30 for Mrs. Brown. And we would talk on the phone and go over the exercises and make sure she understood. But part of this was me asking, is there anything there that you didn't understand? Can I reword something? So I really got the good feedback, and I was pleased with the turnout. So after all was said and done, 94% of those 86 people stopped snoring.
That's incredible.
And, you know, I can't make that up. I fortunately, even though I knew nothing about snoring, I had them fill out a form before my treatment and then after the treatment. And that form listed a lot of symptoms of sleep deprivation. Okay. so that I would know before they got my treatment what was going on in their body. Yes, they
Right.
have GERD, they have restless leg syndrome. Their sheets are real messy when they wake up, so they're a restless sleeper. I didn't understand all of it at the time. I'm just being honest, but I felt like I needed to have that information. And then after the treatment, they did that again, so I could see all of the different symptoms that went away or got better. And it was really phenomenal at all of the results of all of them. I know that sleep apnea is considered a medical problem, and I am not allowed to say that I can help a medical problem. However, two of the symptoms on there were gasping and waking up with a snort or whatever, something like that. And those two symptoms are the only symptoms out of a list of, I don't know, 20, 25. They were the only two symptoms that went away 100% of the time. So anyway, I got totally excited, and ever since 2003, I've been working on making the program better and better, easier and easier. And now a person can go online. They can purchase the program, which is a very affordable price. And before a person decides to purchase the program, they can contact me, and I will give them a 15-minute consult to help them decide whether it's what they need and give them an idea of what it'd be like. Truly. And so then they purchase the program. And when they purchase the program, I meet back with them for like a 45-minute consultation, no extra charge, to make sure that they get started right. And, just to reassure a person that this is for them, or, whatever they need to feel confident and have what it takes to get this done. So I'm there with them throughout the whole thing. When they start the program, they do their lessons. Let's say lesson 1, they go to, after they look at the lesson, and then they can go to this website and they can see me training an adult male how to do the exercises. So right there, they don't have to question just reading about it. They can see me, how I would teach them to do the exercise. And after they do the exercise, whenever they learn that, they have to practice 2 times a day. This is very important. The program will not work if you don't practice 2 times a day. And so I have another website, which I developed during COVID because it was all so weird. I found children closed up in their bedrooms all over the place, and I'm asking them, what makes you say, oh, I'll do my exercises now? And, and so I decided to do a website where they could just go to lesson 1, exercise 1, or go to lesson 1. There are 3 exercises there. And I'm there in the exercise room. I do the exercises with you. You don't have to read anything. You don't have to count. You don't have to use a timer. If any of that's needed, I do it for you. All you have to do is go into the exercise room and copy me. So parents whose children are getting this treatment, they love it because they were always concerned, am I doing it right? Am I teaching my child the right way? And so now the pressure's off the parents. They know that I'm there in that room to teach their kid how to do that. And adults, it's the same thing. Age does not matter here. One of my 86 people that I worked with was an 86-year-old lady, and she did great. So anyway, so that's the program. It's
Janet, I must say that because I'm on your program now, I'm
I
seeing
know.
some incredible success, that you make it so easy.
Good.
But your position is so important when it comes to illustrating. It just makes sense especially when you're there and you can tell if I'm doing something wrong.
Right. Right.
And this is, I'm starting up again because I had some complications, not from Janet, just from other health issues. But I got to tell you, so far, this has been well. So I've already been able to take off my CPAP machine,
Mm.
which is amazing in itself.
And I
Because
didn't tell him. I didn't tell him.
no, she didn't tell me to do it. She was very honest with me. She didn't say it's worked for everybody because that's usually how it works.
Well, just about.
Yeah, I mean, 94%, Janet,
Mhm.
is unbelievable.
I know it is.
And when you talk to Janet and you're a snorer, you're going, yeah, that's me. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like she knows exactly what you're going through.
Right. Right.
But yours is turnkey, though. The only thing you don't do is the exercises for them, but you sure show them how to do the
Right.
exercises.
Right. I have one more thing to add. I know we're about to run out of time. Um,
Yes.
if a person, if you out there listening or watching cannot breathe, cannot physically breathe through your nose, like, if you've got bone spurs or deviated septum so bad that you can't breathe through your nose, then
Right.
don't get this program. Because this program trains you to breathe out of your nose. So that means you would not be able to breathe at all. So I would suggest, if you are interested but can't breathe through your nose, go to your ear, nose, and throat doctor or otolaryngologist and do something about that. Get them to fix it and then come back and address the snoring as soon as you can.
I got to tell you, Janet, what you have discovered is godsend. People don't understand how dangerous sleep apnea is.
Oh, no.
And when I learned that my body shuts down and the snoring is what kind of woke me up. And we're going to talk about it every week, but I went on Janet's program for about 2 weeks. And after a little over a week, I took my CPAP machine off on my own doing, and I slept through the night. And I've never done that before, ever, ever, ever. So tell
And
your friends.
you did it more than one night in a row, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want people, because Janet's with us. She'll be with us again this month and months to follow. I want you to tell your friends, tell your relatives. They need to either watch our show live, which we're doing right now, or they can go back to iHeart, put in Ask the Experts TV show Atlanta, Stop Snoring, and they can watch these shows again.
Okay. And may I interject? I want to give you an email address. If you have
Yes.
questions for me, I will answer every one of your questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'll tell you. But it is author, AUTHOR, author at IJustWantToSleep.com. You should be able to remember that. IJustWantToSleep.com.
I
Author.
love that.
So email me, and my phone number is 828-273-9888. And you can go to, if you want to know about tongue thrust, you can go to correctmytonguethrust.com. There are lots of things to go listen to and read about. I've done quite a few videos to educate the people, because I didn't get to talk about that big tongue like I wanted to, or biting the sides of your tongue, all kinds of different things. So I'm here and I want to help you.
Janet, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon.
Okay.
And join us again next week for more Ask the Experts. Thanks so much. God bless.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.